I'm going to discuss with you my Objective 1 paper, which was on AAC and how it impacts children with autism. And the client in my paper that I discuss was diagnosed with autism by a developmental pediatrician at the age of 18 months. And the mother brought him to our clinic, the clinic I was externing at, for an AAC evaluation. And during the evaluation, we did a thorough case history with the mom and found out hearing and vision were within normal limits. We also did an oral mechanism exam. We looked at his speech and language abilities by administering the PLS, or the preschool language scale, and his results showed that he was in the severely impaired range in his expressive and receptive abilities. And at the time of the AAC evaluation, he presented with minimal vocalizations. He had about 10 signs that he was using for things such as cup, juice, open, all done, go. Those are just a few examples. But he wasn't using these independently. He wasn't using all of them independently. He was needing some modeling or prompting from the person he was communicating with. So he was having problems expressing his wants and needs on a daily basis. Socially, he did not greet the therapist. He avoided people in general. He kind of would go off into the corner and want to play by himself on his iPad. Minimal eye contact and very object-oriented. When he came into the room, he was looking for what object. He would go to the cupboard, open it up, pull out something that he saw, and so he was just very object-oriented in that sense, which is from his diagnosis of autism. And he also had the restrictive and repetitive behaviors, which he did do well with a visual schedule and really thrived on that routine, coming in, picking out what toy we wanted to play with or what food he wanted to work for. And then he did become obsessed with things where if we took it away, there would be behaviors that we had to deal with during therapy. So first we customized a low-tech system for him where we printed out pictures and of things that he liked, such as his cereal, bubbles, guitar, toy that he liked. So just a lot of the motivating items that he worked for, and those were mainly nouns. We did print out verbs as well: to blow, to go, to play, to eat, and we use those as well. And we wanted him using this system throughout all settings, so at home, and at school, and when he came to therapy, so across his whole day. And after 2 weeks, with input from his mother, we introduced touch chat on his iPad. And there we set up, it was a 4 basic, which means there were 4 options for him to choose from on each page. And this was reflected from his abilities. No, I'm not going to say that. So it was 4 basic, and it was I want, I feel, about me, and all done. And each page chained into another page. So I want to play guitar. And he did need the hand over hand at first to chain through those pages. If we did have items that he wanted, we would open up to the toys page and have him choose from the array. It is important to make the vocabulary meaningful, motivating, and individualized to that client. If the client doesn't eat crackers, then why would we have crackers on his page? If the client doesn't have sensory issues and doesn't need to be brushed or need squeezes. Why would we offer that on his page? So we do want to make it specific, and not that we can't add it. If he does like tickles, we can add in tickles or the brush, but we want to always have it specific to their wants and needs. And that brings up a point of that parent involvement and having them be able to modify the device, so be able to operate it and use it and model using it. And that was one thing we really focused on, was that parent involvement during therapy. One of the things that I researched for my paper was vocabulary selection. And in Fallon, Light and Page 2001, they researched, I think it was 7 preschool students, and what kind of vocabulary they use on a daily basis. And results showed that they use approximately 55% content words. So that's our nouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs, and about 45% function words. So pronouns, articles, conjunctions, prepositions. So all of those words make up that vocabulary. Some of the goals that we came up with, we had a long-term goal, which was that he would initiate using the device throughout 50% of it, during 50% of his day. His short-term goals were requesting, linking 2 pages together, and accurately communicating his feelings. Now, when I look back on the goals, I do think about how we can make those goals more efficient, more detailed. And I think about what a good goal consists of, and that is, does it have a time frame? Is the goal attainable and relevant to that student and family? What setting? How are you going to assess? Are you tallying? Are you taking data? So assess, accuracy, will it be 80%? And also support. So how much support does he need? Does he need hand over hand? Does he just need a gestural or a gestural cue? So those are things that writing this paper helped me reflect on how to make a goal efficient, effective, and meaningful to the client. And therapy, so the therapy we provided was, we used a lot of modeling, we used parent involvement, and we also used the LAMP philosophy. And that philosophy is that it uses our sensory system. So when I push a button, there's the motor sequence, and I hear the button, so there's the auditory. So motor, auditory, and then you get that social response, whether it's food, a toy, praise, a high five, or tickles. So there is that interaction and communication, and it's a little different than the typical communication, but that motor sequence research from Potts and Satterfield in 2013 showed that communication did progress when a device was paired with this philosophy of, here's the motor sequence that you teach, I hear it, I get something, and really working on that, and consistency was key. And there are other research, there is a ton of research on the effectiveness of PECs, the effectiveness of using sign language. So it's not just that a device is going to work for everyone. I understand that. And you do have to look at your client. What are their needs? What are their physically, what can they do? So I know that touch chat is not for everyone, but if it is effective for a certain client, then that's good. So that's my Objective 1 paper. It was helpful to go back and reflect on areas that I could improve and areas that I did well in. especially during therapy. Areas I could improve would be the goal writing, as well as parent training.